you tired of playing the same simple chord progressions during your Sunday set list? Do you ever want to spice up your playing, but you're just not sure how? In this video, we're going to be taking simple chord progressions that most of you have probably played during a service and showing you how to change it up to sound more intricate and advanced. Now, obviously, this topic is a little tongue-in-cheek. We know that if you're bringing your best, whatever you prepare to play for a service will be edifying and build up the sound of your team as a whole, even if it is simple piano chords. But it can be fun to explore alternate ways to play some of the same chords and progressions that you might play on a regular basis. So this first progression is going to be 6 minor, 4, 1, 5, and I'm going to play in the key of D. So we've got a B minor, then a G, and then a D, and an A. So one more time, that's the 6, 4, the 1. You might recognize this as the chord progression to the song Lord, I Need You, or The Blessing. Now let's transform this progression. So all I did with this progression was take the chords in the left hand and arpeggiate through each chord. I like to play my chords in octaves and play a low note and then the 5th of the chord and then just arpeggiate through. I feel like that creates a lot of movement while keeping what you're playing pretty simple. And then I like to take that opportunity to keep my right hand more simple by sticking around the same range or playing in versions of the chords that are right around the same area. If you're playing a song that has a specific melody, what I like to do is keep the melody note in the highest note that you hear of your chord. So if I were playing The Blessing, I would play it like this. So here's what we started with. And here's where we ended. So the second progression is going to be 1, 4, 6 minor, and then back to 4. And I'm going to play this in the key of A. So here's what it would sound like if I play all of these chords in root position. So with a progression like this where you play the same chord twice throughout the progression, it can feel kind of boring. So I like to take that opportunity to sub in a different chord or change up the chord progression in small ways. So with that progression, I just played the original progression, 1, 4, 6, 4. And then the second time, I substituted the first 4 for a minor 2. These chords are relative to each other, so they act pretty similarly. And if you're playing with the rest of your band, it can be good to communicate if you're going to swap out chords. But if you're making sure that you play something that is complementary, sometimes you can add it without having everybody change what they're doing. So here's where we started. And here's where we ended. The next progression I'm going to do is 1, 5, 6, 4. And I'm going to play this in the key of G. So that is G, D, E minor, and C. This progression is really common. You'd recognize it in a lot of different songs, like Take You at Your Word, or maybe even What a Beautiful Name. So let's transform this chord progression. So when I play a progression, I like to think about where I'm going with the chords. So sometimes I like to add little riffs that lead into the next chord, like this. That leads me into the minor 6. Or I like to add passing chords that help to get me where I'm going at the end. So I added a passing 5 between the 6 and the 4. And then sometimes at the end of a progression, I like to do another passing line down to the resolving 1. So here's where we started. And here's where we ended. The next progression is going to be 4, 5, 6 minor, and 1. And I'm going to do this in the key of C. So we're going to start with the F, then G, A minor, and C. I like this progression in particular because it is ascending, so you're going to be going up the whole time, which I think provides a lot of opportunities to do some cool moving lines with your right hand. So let's transform this progression. With ascending lines like this, I really like to help build through the progression by highlighting the third of each chord. So when I started the progression, I was just playing that lower, and then as we got into the second time through, I added the octave. You might have also noticed that I swapped out the 1 chord for a 1/3 the first time through, because when you're repeating a progression like this that just goes up, it's really good to lead back into the first chord. And a great way to do that is to play 1/3 because you've got that half step there that leads into the 4. If you found this video to be helpful, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. And if you want to see more ways to transform common worship chord progressions, check out this video.